All right, it's BourbonBlog.com. We are very excited today to have our friends from Gortinore Distillers. It's Aidan, Mehigan, and also, of course, Jordan Vi, distiller. Aidan's the founder, Jordan's the distiller. Welcome, gentlemen. How's all your way?
Amazing. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. I see you all have I see you have a little bit there in front of you too, Jordan.
I'm never too far from it, my friend.
Yes, we always have something good near us. And again, the Natterjack Toad is what adorns the Natterjack Irish Whiskey, which is this is a really delicious Irish whiskey. Where to start? Let's just start with how did this? Tell us about the distillery, how and the project, how all this started, Aidan.
So this started a while back because I like a night out, as Jordan can attest to, as much as anyone else. And I figured if I didn't have a favorite Irish whiskey, no one, Irish whiskey missed me. And if Irish whiskey missed me, it must have missed a load of people. So we kind of thought about this, and I quit my job in financial services. And I went on this kind of mad journey to work out what I wanted to do. And part of that mad journey was going to the ADI conference in Louisville in 2016. Jordan was teaching. And after the event, I think Jordan has different telling of the story, just so we're clear. After the event, I came outside and I think Jordan was in great form. We got chatting. We met in a car park there, which was passing through the hotel. And I said, look, can I buy you a drink? And Jordan said, yeah, absolutely. His wife, Maya, was there as well. And we went for a drink and I told him about the project. And he kind of said, well, look, what do you need? It sounds interesting. You know, we got on really well. We had a great night. I said, look, I need to come somewhere and learn how to make whiskey. And right. Jordan offered for me to come out to Breckenridge. I don't think he expected me to stay for as long as I did. But I came out and spent a few weeks working at Breck and working and learning how to make whiskey. And during that time, we fermented a friendship and solidified an idea for a contemporary Irish whiskey. For a whiskey that would be not a surname or a place name, because that's what most Irish whiskeys are. And we wouldn't be sitting here today if I'd called it Aidan's Irish Whiskey or Mehigan's Irish Whiskey. Like, who cares, right? So we knew that we had this toad, and I'll get into what the toad is in a second. Jordan had this great vision for what the spirit was going to taste like, what we were actually going to try and do with the flavor profile. And we took it on from there. And it's been a journey. But we're in 14 US states, 11 markets globally. And things look like we're going in the right direction. The reviews are great of the whiskey. I mean, Jim Murray gave us 92 points. Wow. We won silver in some event a couple of weeks ago, but as I said to Scott, silver second place and second place is first loser. So we don't talk about it too much. So yeah. So and that's kind of how we got here. And then it's been a mad journey now. My wife and 3 kids and dog live in Austin, Texas, as we grow the brand in the US. And we can get into a bit of thinking behind that. But that's broadly, I think, Jordan, do you want to tell your side of how we met? Because I think it's a little bit different.
Oh, it's fucking completely different, right? Drink.
Yeah, so should we tell everybody? Go ahead,
that's
Jordan.
Essentially how it happened, BBT.
Yes.
Met him out in Louisville. I was teaching a class at Town and Branch Distillery. He came and took it. He showed up for the first day anyway. And then, found me 2 days later. When I did invite him out to Breckenridge, he arrived with a bicycle in tow. So I knew he was probably staying a little longer than I anticipated, since he had brought his own, method of conveyance. But yeah, it was a fantastic time getting to know Aidan, hanging out with him living in my house and working with me at Breck. And it was immediate chemistry there. And we started talking about the whiskey, showing him what I do at Breckenridge, talking about what we wanted to do with this. And I didn't know much about Ireland. I'd never actually been to Ireland before. So he took me there the first time. But fell in love with, the culture, the whole place. And just, when we started talking about Irish whiskey is done in such a similar fashion, pretty pretty much across the board most of the time. I'm not saying that nobody's innovative with what they're doing, but I wanted to come up with something new for it. So took a bourbon maker, an American bourbon maker's approach to it. We've used new charred American oak on this, which is uncommon. Almost everything's aged in ex-bourbon cask, and we did age it in ex-bourbon cask for 3 years. Then gave it a year in new American because I wanted to give it that bourbon maker's feel. It's a collaboration, between Ireland and the U.S. Essentially. So anyway, you've got it in your glass. I hate talking about my whiskeys. You know that. I hate trying to tell people what they taste like and how great they are or not great they are. I let people make up their own minds. But this is what we came up with. And I'm pretty proud of it.
Well, I am too. I think what you all have done is really phenomenal. Again, first 3 years ex-bourbon, and then it goes into it's a new bourbon cask. Is that right?
Correct. Char number 4.
Char number 4. I'm not, and I know there's a lot of Irish whiskeys out there. Of course, there's a handful of them that we like, and we really do love this one. Are there many that have taken on this type of innovative approach before? Are you one of the first that you know of?
Not that I'm familiar with, Aidan.
Right.
There's one or two that have kind of a triple cask finish where one of those casks is virgin. But I don't think anyone's gone as heavy after the virgin oak as we have. Now,
right.
Some of that's subjective, and they don't. We're very open about how long it's spent in virgin oak in the jar. Whereas if other people, it could have gotten a bus with a virgin American oak cask, and then it's finished in, right. So we really want to. Yeah, I don't know anyone who's doing it the way we are. I guess is the best way.
Fucking expensive, BBT.
Yeah.
I can imagine with a second cask. Yes.
Appreciate it.
It's good. It's so good. And we get some of those bourbon-esque notes. You get a little of that with that extra cask. I get it. You get some of the real, true Irish characteristics. There's great fruit. There's the grains coming across really beautifully. The vanillas, but I think it goes a step further with the creaminess, almost to a real whipped sugar marshmallow against barrel. I mean, there's a lot that's happening here that I think that bourbon lovers, really all whiskey lovers, but bourbon lovers especially, will love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed. And it's I'm not going to talk about our mash bill because it's proprietary, but it's a two whiskeys blended together, a grain whiskey and a malt whiskey. We use a higher percentage of malt whiskey than maybe a lot of our compatriots in this venture, but that malt whiskey component just adds so much mid-palate mouthfeel, body, weight, contributes to the finish. No small part of the aromatics and the attack of the whole thing. It's a little bit more expensive way to make things.
Yeah.
But, and it's not a terribly expensive whiskey, by the way. I think it's very fairly priced in the market.
Sure.
But the addition of the new American oak right there at the end of the 3-year aging process, we wanted to give it that traditional Irish whiskey feel, which, requires ex-bourbon cask or second use cask, essentially, for the primary aging. And then right there at the end, just layering over it with all of that fresh vanillin, sonaldehyde, guaiacol, methyl guaiacol, not so sexy names there, but they smell like coconut and scotch and things like that. I know you know your stuff. Those are what you're picking up on there. I mean, and I think it's that primary aging that develops those softer kind of marshmallow notes that you're talking about. And so everything just kind of layers under, almost like a good perfume, for lack of a better analogy.
It is very layered. I do get the tropical coconut. You said a little bit of a scotch. Did you say something about a scotch? I want to make sure I was following you on the different levels that you're.
I mean, there's a heavy malt component to it.
Yeah.
Nothing that's undergone any kind of peat treatment. Right. So I wouldn't particularly point it at Scotch.
Okay.
Or Scotland. It's definitely Irish, and
right.
It's malt, the malt format of it, but it's definitely added complexity to the underlying whiskey.
Yeah.
High percentage of malt whiskey.
Right. Aidan, what are your main tasting pull aways that you get?
So what I think for me, what it amplifies is citrus.
Nice citrus, yeah.
And the mouthfeel, it's kind of mind-blowing because it's 3.5 years ex-bourbon and a year virgin oak, right? And that to me, that doesn't taste like a 4.5-year-old whiskey.
Right.
What Jordan's done is to marry it in such a way that the mouthfeel, the smoothness of Irish with the adventurousness of the virgin oak, but with that buttery mouthfeel. That's what I take away. And like every time I taste it, and I mean every time I taste it, I'm like, this is incredible whiskey. We go to a tasting, we crack a bottle, you want to give people a taste, you open it up, you're like, oh, this is really, really good. And I don't get that I don't want to talk about our peers in any, but quite often when I have a taste of something, my first taste is like, wait, that's 7 years old. There's a kick to that. And some people love the kick, right? And it's neither here nor there. But for me, it takes a few sips of some whiskeys to get the engine going. And for me, Natterjack doesn't take that. It's really, really smooth, and half a bottle of it disappears reasonably quickly, as we know, Jordan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is what I loved about working with Aidan too, Tom, is that, he didn't come with a bunch of preconceived notions of, look, this is what Irish whiskey is supposed to taste like. And we need to make some analog of this that maybe has some little, side note that's a kick that, represents what you do in the United States with bourbon. He really just left it to take it as far as you want to go. And I was pretty aggressive with what I did with the American oak and a year aging. And I mean, just even all the way down to the color of this. I mean, atypical of Irish whiskey as far as this depth and hue of kind of a caramely brown.
I see that. Yeah, this is a lot darker. I mean, it looks more like a bourbon than most Irish whiskeys. You're right.
And I guess I can't help myself but to make bourbon out of everything in the world. That's what I do well. But, I think it's still distinguishable as an Irish whiskey with just, I'm going to fucking say je ne sais quoi, which is terrible. But that.
But for me, Tom, and I say this sometimes at
What's a drink, Aidan?
Gotta drink, Aidan.
All right.
We're gonna have everyone guess at the end.
So I say this quite often when I'm at talks and stuff because it's quite a good line. But actually, and that's not to tee myself up to be funny, but the sentiment of it really rings true to me, and that's that Natterjack is a gateway drug from bourbon to Irish or Irish to bourbon, or and this is the key, right? This is the key, from gin or vodka to Irish, because it's not. That's who I feel, and Jordan may disagree with me, I feel that's who we're going after, is the subsection of spirits drinkers who maybe find Irish or Scotch a little bit serious, like a little bit intimidating. Like I'm neither serious nor intimidating, but I think the spirit is so approachable that it opens up our sector to such a bigger number of drinkers and such a bigger market and such a bigger audience. Whereas, if I'm being honest, right, I'm never going to convince the 80-year-old guy in a bar in Kilkenny that Natterjack is a great whiskey, right? But he's leaving the sector in a box reasonably soon. So I'm not all that concerned about convincing him, right? Because who I want to convince is millennials, Gen Zs, who maybe find it all a little bit stuffy. They're moving away from wine and vintages. They're moving away from super high-end this, that, and the other of a 12-year-old Scotch, whatever. And as Irish whiskey gets more serious, I don't want any part of it. I got into drinking because it's great fun. I want to produce something that's great fun, and I think we do. And I want people to have fun while they experience it, because drinking without fun is tragic, right? Like the whole thing is fun, right? Yeah.
That's what we do when we're sad.
Yeah, we don't want to do it, right? Well, and we should say, thanks to Aidan's vision and what you put together here, and Jordan's innovation, we have something that's and talent. We have something that's incredibly delicious. We should say, as you say, you want to make Irish whiskey fun. Now, this looks like a fun Irish whiskey with the Natterjack Toad on it. That I mean, just looking at this,
it's so fucking serious, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is.
Look, it's an ugly toad, but for us, oh yeah, it's launch it. For us, right? And I'm not being funny, but it's easy to put a big horse, a really big, powerful Kentucky Derby winner on your label and go, look at the amazing, powerful horse we have on our powerful whiskey. It's huge, right? Like, and so I was like, well, if that's a bit easy, right? So why don't we do something that's not easy? Why don't we put a fucking frog on there? Like, let's give that a lash. And then it turns out there's an Irish toad. It's the only toad indigenous to Ireland. Excuse me. Is the Natterjack toad.
I'm not sure if it made it into the recording yet, but we all agreed that every time we said fuck, we would drink. So
yeah,
now we were
equals to a drink.
Tom's to the bottle by now.
That's right.
Sorry, carry on, Aidan.
I love this.
So,
the image is cool.
Back when the original name for this was Four Toed Black, right? And that was it, because I love the cadence. Four Toed Black was going to be amazing. Like, it's getting at a call, toad and coke, all that sort of jazz. But the artist who drew it said there's an Irish toad. And I was like, okay. And so I said, draw me a Natterjack. So he came back with 5 versions of the toad you see today. You can see the other 4 on the website, and he made them, he brought them to life. And I'll be the first to admit that we don't know why people like it as much as they do, but they love the picture. And it's a sketch. It can't be vectorized. It's a pain in the ass to do anything with, because if you blow it up, you need to re-illustrate. It's just whereas if we'd done a vectorized horse, well, wouldn't it all be great, or a bull or whatever? But we had to do something hard, right? But the Natterjack toad is the only toad indigenous to Ireland. Now, it can hop, it walks, it can't swim, it drowns. It does things its own way to survive, much like ourselves. And so that's why it became our spirit animal. More importantly, it's nocturnal, like the best whiskey drinkers, right?
Yeah, you know it.
It has a mating call that can be heard 2 miles away, like me in a different time. And it has a 3-year gestation period from toadlet to toad. And whiskey takes 3 years to make. It was made for it. And then the last point is, it's ugly. But we as a company, and we as distillers, and we as Natterjack, it's not about what we look like. It's about how we see the world. It's about our outlook. And our outlook is sunshine and light. And our whiskey is sunshine and light. And that's kind of, an ugly toad doesn't matter. So yeah,
I love the description, the background. Again, the drawing of this Natterjack. I mean, it does have that ugliness, but also this invitation to almost be friends with the toad as well. I mean, you want to be friends with this little guy, right?
It makes you want to obey it. I mean,
it does, like obey and drink more of me. Okay, so he's the Natterjack toad. Does this particular toad have a name? Do you have a name for him?
No, it's just a Natterjack toad. We don't know. I don't know that you can. You know, if you buy a chicken, you probably don't know this, but they sex them. They tell you if it's male or female. They get it wrong all the time, because I found this out because we ended up with a load of roosters in the garden when we got to Texas. However, I don't think you can sex a toad, so I don't really know.
Yeah. You know what? I think from this point forward, we're going to call the toad Tom.
There we go.
Oh, Tom, thank you. But you might be able to sex me with enough whiskey.
Aidan, but
that's all right. That's all right. Fuck it.
I like it. I like it a lot. Natterjack toad, Tom, the Irish whiskey, and you've made it into a pewter toad on the cask strength.
Exactly. So this is the inverse of this is our vision for Natterjack, for the cask strength. Now, part of this was, and Jordan, you can talk to this a little bit as well, was Natterjack is so smooth that maybe it for some parts of the whiskey market, maybe they like something that's a little truer. Now, my point about it has always been, I don't want to do a cask strength at 55% ABV, because I don't know any places that keep, now Jordan's the distiller, not me, but I thought if we're going to do cask strength, it has to be true cask strength. So this is 126 proof. Basically, Jordan shook the barrel, and this comes out. We put it through a sieve. So,
well, Tom, as you know, I mean, right now, as tastes evolve through the whiskey drinking world, cask strength seems to be the having its moment right now. I you know, there's a reason we target a particular ABV for for our whiskey here. We're targeting 40 ABV. And that's where I think it drinks the best, between, being still mixable in cocktails, but still strong enough to hold up to just a block of ice or, a glass, drinking it neat. Yeah. But that's, I've always been a fan of give the people what they want. And so since this is a bourbon-esque Irish whiskey, cask strength made sense for us. I love the package which I can take no credit for. Aidan and his pewter frog, or pewter toad, I just called it a frog, is freaking beautiful. I think it's a gorgeous package. I think people are going to love it. And we're just giving them that option. It's and cask strength for us right now, again, a little more expensive, a little more, less liquid, same 700 ml package. Aidan, are we doing 750s in the US right now, or still 700?
750s on blend one. Cask strength is 700.
Okay, but 700s are legal in the US now. So.
Yeah, and there's definitely a move towards it. Logistically, it makes things a lot easier. But we've stayed with the 750s because we've had to retell our story a couple of times over the years, and I was like, I've been asked a lot in market at the moment. It's like, are you guys moving to your European 700s? And you're like, no, we're sticking on the 750s. They're like, okay, it's a nicer bottle, all that sort of jazz. So, so people are noticing that move and appreciate that we're not doing it. Yeah.
Right. Well, and I think it's an interesting topic. I mean, it's we've heard a little bit of conversation about this. What do you think for the? I mean, obviously we obviously respect when we're in Ireland or traveling in the EU and we see 700 mLs in some countries. I think it's at CL. Is that right? In like France, other places.
70 CL. Sorry.
70. Thank you. 70. We don't want to give you 7 of these.
No. 700 CL would be way too much whiskey.
That'd be, well, hey, I'll take a bottle that size anytime with you, Jordan. That'll be all right. But what do you think? What do you think should happen? Can happen? We've always loved to tell our European counterparts, hey, you get 50 more here. What do you think is going to happen here?
For me, what's going to happen is, we're a small company, right? We'll do somewhere in the region of 14,009 liters this year, right, globally. So that's great for us, but we're small, and so each bottling run is quite a complex task, and we're a small team. Now, the lead times are different. This is all incredibly boring, but the lead time is different on a 750 to a 700. I don't know why that is, but it is. Right. So if we went to 700s and we get in late order from China or from Germany, well, we can pivot from a stock management perspective. We can pivot and fulfill an order. But currently, if we tie up stock in 750s, none of the other markets want 750s. Now, you can play around with just putting 700 into a 750 bottle and all that sort of stuff. But it's not that we want the 50 mil more of cash from American consumers. That's not going to go down to 700 and charge the same. For me, I'm agnostic as to which it is. I just know it's less hassle if there's 2. And we're a small company. Like if you have 10 lines, it must be, I don't know, 10 product lines, it must be just a nightmare, all the different markets. But I know that there's a loyalty to 750 in America. So that will survive.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jordan.
Yeah, that extra 50 mil conversation seems like the leading cause of falling asleep.
I think it's interesting a little bit.
Yeah. I honestly love the 70 CL package, but Aidan and he doesn't tell me how to make whiskey, and I don't tell him how to fucking make the sexiest toad in the world. So
yeah.
It would almost be like that sexy toad lost weight, right? If he went
there. There we go.
50 mils.
Not that he needs to at all. Look at him.
Yes. Needs a hug.
No, this is it's great stuff. So we have the original, we have the Cask Strength. You can find these in 14 markets right now. I'm going to put the website up, Natterjack.com from Gortinore Distillers. You can find this in the bars and stores. You can
bars and restaurants. I moved to Austin, so you can find it in Specs in Texas, which is where that's where our relationship here is.
Yes, that is a wonderful job.
And I think probably places like Reserve Bar and those sorts of places are places where your nationwide viewers can get it. Our 14 states, and I'm going to try and list them, but Jordan said "fuck" so many times that I might get this. and you have to drink.
Drink now. Hopefully, they're following along as they watch.
Here we go: New Jersey, New Hampshire, Louisiana, Florida, Philadelphia, Illinois, Michigan. California, Washington, Texas, Oklahoma, and I think I'm at about 11 there, but I've run out. So
all right, you can check the website out, Natterjack.com. It's great whiskey. Anything, I mean, and I'm sure there will be any other expressions that you're able to tease forward to. Anything you're thinking about, you want to tease forward to?
Let me tee Jordan up for this, but we were blending a while back in Ireland, and we'd been to a rugby match in Dublin. It was great. We'd had super time. We're blending the next day, and Jordan picked up one of the sample blends, and he's like, "This is our best whiskey. Why aren't we selling this?" And Jordan, what do you think about it?
Yes, I mean, I don't want to spill the proverbial beans. I mean, I think Aidan and I got a lot of conversation to have about this, and again, always the additional SKU. What resources can we put behind this and whatnot? But there'll be more things to come from Gortinore. Absolutely, BBT.
More to come from Gortinore.
We're gonna keep innovating. We're not talking about any white spirits right now, although we're kind of talking about it. But then we get drunk and talk about a lot of stuff. So, let's just see where it all goes. And I have to throw this out just for Aidan. He moved here from Dublin.
Yes.
To Austin, brought his wife and his 3 kids. Absolute fucking culture shock.
It's a good city, Austin. Yes. And
he's adapted to it so well, much better than I did to Dublin, I think. But maybe he's gotten here, and Aidan's like 25% a Texan now. I'm pretty sure.
He just might be.
We gotta get him a big hat.
Do you have a Stetson now, Aidan?
I don't, because I've gone. Jordan told me the one to get, right. It's
Resistol.
And I've been twice to the cowboy hat place down in South Congress, and they don't have one for my head because my head's too big. So each time they're like, because I want to see it before they order it in, but they've said they can order it in, and so I need a prescription hat. Is the long and short of this. Yeah.
If any viewers have a suggestion other than Resistol, please put it in the comments, because
tell us down below. Right. I have a big head too. I know how it is. I have a Stetson someplace not too far away. I wore a Stetson not too long ago to Derby one year just for fun, and I was just thinking, you were mentioning horses. You picked the Natterjack. I don't know. I'm all about being kind to animals. I definitely wouldn't want to have any animal cruelty at all comments. But could we have a Natterjack slow Derby that maybe you guys could do at some point?
Now you're talking. But Tom, I might be able to deliver on this very shortly. Scott, our head of global sales, is off to the west of Ireland. We release 1,500 of these toads every year. So he goes down next week to the west of Ireland to release the 1,500 into the wild. So leave it with me. It sounds like he might have a task. Let's get it dirty.
Sounds like just drawing a finish line.
That's all you got to do
at the same time.
Just draw a finish. When you say you release the toads, what does that mean? So
the toads are very likely to die near a puddle. They drown. They're not. They're endangered. All that sort of jazz. Now it sounds sadder than it actually is. But each year, the dingle aquarium, they germinate 1,500 of these from toadlets, and then once they're big enough that they think they can survive, we release them into the Glen Bay Hills, and then they go off to hopefully prosper, and we keep the toad alive. So we do that every year.
That is wonderful. You know, I know that here's what's interesting. They did a turtle derby during the pandemic because there was a running of the derby during the pandemic. No one could be invited, but Old Forester, to really celebrate, you know, the pandemic and to do something kind of fun for people to watch at home, they did because they had to change the date, they did a turtle derby of sorts. Okay. So I was thinking you all could do the Natterjack Derby, very slow race. People could sip their Natterjack as they want. But
I'm into it.
You might have just come up with the most bettable thing coming in 2024, sir.
I think I did, and we'll be happy at BourbonBlog to partner with you on it. Let's talk about it, Aidan, and make sure everyone watches. But for now,
get the Vegas sports books involved.
We could. I think we should put some money on the Natterjacks, especially the one named Tom. Oh yeah, really great chatting with you both, Aidan. Looking forward to having a whiskey with you soon, Jordan. Always a pleasure to join you on BourbonBlog, and I love what Jordan has brought to this project. Aidan, I love that you guys have created this. And I must say, as we close out here, fucking phenomenal Irish whiskey.
Thank you.
Phenomenal.
Gentlemen. Phenomenal.
Cheers, guys.